Okay, let's try this again. Um, Hi, my name is Melissa, and I have bipolar. I run the blog Spoonie Mama, spoonie-mama.com if you want to check it out. And I discuss parenting, chronic illness, and mental health. And I also talk a lot about adoption. Um, but today, I wanted to make a video discussing the aspects of being a mom and having bipolar disorder. Um, if you don't know, bipolar disorder is, to sum it up, it's basically on the one end you have depression, and on the other end you have mania or hypomania. Um, Mania is often described as extreme highs or just being really obsessive about certain topics, and you feel like you can do anything, you can create anything. A lot of actors and musicians tend to have bipolar because it really not well in some people's cases it can help you focus and be really creative in certain aspects. Um, like Demi Lovato, she has bipolar disorder and she writes a lot of her songs and she does a lot of her music during certain aspects. She's talked about it before. And there's the other end, which is depression, which pretty much everyone knows, you're feeling really down, you have a lot of negative cognitions, you don't think you're worth it, you might even self-harm. There's different symptoms for everybody. A lot of the times people don't know that with both mania and depression, one symptom can be irritability. So you can be really angry with either one. It's kind of crazy how mental illnesses work in different people because you might meet Susie who has social anxiety disorder and she gets really irritable in public because she can't really handle all these people. So she might be snapping at people. She might come off as being a bitch. And then there's Paul, who might have really bad depression, and yet in public, he's the jokester. He gets along with everybody. He talks to everybody. But then at the end of the day, Paul goes home and he can barely look at himself in the mirror. Um, and that's the amazing thing about mental illnesses is that people can hide it really well. Once you kind of know yourself, you learn different ways to cope and kind of get through day by day. And in my case, it was kind of interesting, in my opinion, because when I had my first child, my oldest, in 2016, it was a rough time. I barely got out of my house. I barely left the bed in the morning. And I was very lucky because my husband worked from home at that time, so he was able to help out a lot. And I breastfed, so it was kind of pretty easy. Like I kept the diaper bag right in bed next to me, so I was able to take Carlito out of his pack and play, change his diaper, pop him on the boob, feed him, and then put him back down to sleep because newborns they sleep so many hours. And he was a really good baby, so I'd feed him, change him, and then right back out. And then, but I I really didn't leave the house much in the first couple of months, and I really didn't do much. I didn't shower. I barely ate. Besides, like, my father-in-law actually gifted us these giant chocolate bunnies for Easter, and I basically was eating those and almonds for most of my meals at that time, and it was a black hole until my son was about 6 months, and I kind of realized that something was off. And I had been to therapy before in college, but I really didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back on medications because I was breastfeeding, and I know a lot of them aren't safe. and just didn't want to have that label on me of being depressed, you know? Like, all I wanted was to be a mom. I was told I was infertile, and it was actually pretty much a miracle that I got pregnant. So, for me to resent my kid and hate waking up in the morning and hate having to do things for him, and I just felt like a horrible person, a horrible mom, and I felt like it was worthless, you know? Everybody feels like that from time to time, but with depression, it's all encompassing. You can't just wake up and be like, well, today's gonna be a better day. But luckily, I'm holding my kid's penguin. Luckily, I had been to therapy for like 2+ years in college. And I knew a lot of the coping disorders. And I actually have a degree in psychology. I have a bachelor's in psychology and criminal justice. So I kind of told myself that I'm gonna try and working on it at home, and then if it doesn't get better after a certain amount of time, then I'm gonna go to therapy. So I started working out almost every single day. I started running again, and I started journaling, and I actually opened up my blog, Swing Mama, back then, put on like the free WordPress things, and just I half-assed it, honestly. But I was doing what I could to get out, and I started visiting my family more, and then just naturally, I think, um, because I ended up pregnant again, and the hormones kind of leveled out my depression. So I was feeling better and losing weight, but meanwhile, it wasn't just because I was doing, writing a notebook and exercising every day, which can help some people, but I was surprised pregnant, and the hormones kind of fixed that for a while. And then when my second came 9 months later, I knew it was going to be rough. I already knew that because I had mental illnesses, and then because I was pretty sure I had postpartum depression then, that after having my second, that I was going to be even worse off than before, because I'd be taking care of not just one, but two kids under two. My oldest was 16, 17 months when I had my second child, Killian. So, yeah. Um, my husband was actually between jobs at that time, so luckily, again, he was home. Um, while he was looking for another job, he went to interviews and he helped me a shit ton. Just the way life worked out at that time. But again, around 4 or 5 months postpartum, the hormones started leveling off, and my depression came back. I originally saw my gynecologist because I thought it was like, oh, it's just depression, postpartum depression. I'll get on some SSRIs and I'll be fine. So I went on them for a couple weeks. After the first 4 weeks, they started helping, and then a month, 2 months passed after that, not helping much anymore. Went back, they upped my dose. Same thing, helped for a little bit, then stopped really helping. Um, and I was feeling real low. Like, I felt like a shit mom for having two kids this early. And I'm all for pro-choice, but personally, I couldn't do it. I was married. We had a stable home. We had enough resources. So my husband and I, we chose to have Killian, even though he was surprised, and he is a blessing, even though he is quite the energetic. Now he's 14 months. He's pretty. He's a tough cookie. Um, but anyway, so eventually I called my doctor about like third or fourth time, and she told me that she wasn't gonna up my Zoloft anymore, and my heart just dropped. And I was pissed. I was like, why won't this lady, like, clearly I need help. I told her, I went to the doctor, like, that's what they're supposed to do. But the problem is that it wasn't just postpartum depression at that point, and the doctor knew that. The doctor told me that I needed to see a psychiatrist and start going to therapy in order for her to up my prescription. So that's what I did. I started going to therapy and, rehashed the whole life. And I was diagnosed with bipolar Disorder. They never, my psychiatrist and my therapist never really put a label, one or two. They are leaning towards one just because of the manic episode they think that I had in high school, but because they didn't really see it at that time because I wasn't in therapy then, they can't really put a label on it. But at the end of the day, if you have bipolar, a lot of the treatments are similar. So right now, I am on the Motrigine, 50 milligrams. I was on Zoloft, 125 milligrams, and I am on propranolol, which is like a blood pressure type med, but that's for anxiety and migraines too. So that kind of treats three different things for me with anxiety. But right now I'm just on the Lamotrigine and the propranolol for my mental health. And let me tell you, the Lamotrigine has definitely helped. I go to therapy about once a week. I've been going to therapy once a week for about a year, and just recently I've been going like every 2 weeks because things have gotten a little better, and then things were crazy at home with a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. And so my life now is much better in that aspect where I'm not having extreme lows anymore. I definitely have a lot of mood swings, but mine range from like being really irritable and bitchy and yelling at my husband, or having no patience with my toddlers and yelling at them a little bit more, um, to not feeling like mommy much and just like sitting on the couch and doing a lot of DiGiorno pizzas and for lunch, and easy meals for breakfast, like scrambled eggs, or just doing like spinach bites that you nuke up in the microwave, or sausage. You know, I like to prep for those occasions. So if I'm feeling okay and stable and whatever, I'll make a lot of freezer like healthy egg stuff, and vegetable muffins and all that stuff in the freezer for when a low hits, and then I'll just use those things when I'm having a low. And then for when I'm manic or hypomanic, I get a lot done. A lot. Like for me, I cycle pretty fast, even on the medication, but it's it's dulled. So it's like I don't know. It's like it's being smothered by a pillow. It's not where it could be if I wasn't on medication. So if I'm manic, I like, clean my house top to bottom. I write a bunch of blog posts and schedule them out. I wrote a book proposal in 2 days, and that will be coming out next fall. um, that's the 1-year-old. My husband is out there with him, taking care of him. He's always upset. What else? It's weird talking about this. But I'm glad to do it. So if you have any questions, definitely leave a comment. Where was I? But yeah, it's not like I'm this raging lunatic at home, who's beating their kids and stuff. I'm pretty average, honestly. Uh, with my bipolar, I think I'm one of the fortunate ones. I'm sure there's plenty of other moms just like me, but people don't talk about it. How would you know? I'm trying to open that door. Um, but yeah, I have chronic pain issues too, so that's another aspect that I think that even now when I have my highs, there's only so much I can do. When my mind wants to race a million miles per hour and wants me to do all these things, physically I'm not able to. So I can't be driving all over town with the kids and going shopping and doing all these things because my body will give out before then. I'll be stuck in pain on the couch with a bottle of Tylenol and a heating pad. Um, but I think the worst for me lately would be the lows. It's because I really don't want to leave the house. Even now that it's managed, like occasionally, like I would say on average I have like 2 really bad days a month. And then, like I said before, I like to prep, and so I can be a couch potato when those days hit. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, if you have any other questions, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. If you don't have to like me. Share it. Don't. Check out my blog. And thanks for listening.